This is my game 377 sprint. The first thing that I did was address the feedback that I got. Most of it was destructors not being called and that causing memory leaks in certain systems. So I pretty much went through like all of my systems and tried to fix all of them, and I'm pretty sure I got through all of them because I was testing all of them, and now all the destructors are being called, and I made sure like they were actually deleting their objects. Before, I was having issues with them because certain objects didn't have access to others that they were supposed to, or pointers were being passed into places and deleting other objects through those pointers, or losing the reference to them. So this is just an example here, me calling my scene manager destructor, which wasn't being called before. And if you want to see another example, there's my game object. So one problem that I had, and the reason my scene CPP didn't have my inputable manager or collision manager and being destroyed, and now it does, is because, for example, one of the problems I had was the registration and deregistration commands. For some reason, I had it, I guess in my like haste to get everything working, it was like here, for example, I was deleting PTR go, and so that was deleting my game object, but obviously that's not in charge of actually deleting my game object. So that's why these commands were giving me an issue, and that was causing issues with registration in other places, like my alarms. So if you want to see, my inputable manager, for example, I wasn't calling this before. I wasn't deleting it because I had that registration issue, and now it is. It goes through it and deletes everything and then clears the key object list. But I won't show all of them just because I think it's gonna take too long and probably a waste. So, but I did get through pretty much, yeah, I got through all of them for the destructors and memory leaks. The pretty much everything. The only thing I didn't fully finish was the command pattern on the visualizer. I started it, but I was still having issues, so I didn't want to include it because it was breaking it. And I only had like honestly like 30 minutes of time put into that. But since I spent more time hunting down the memory leak and other issues, but the other thing that I was confused about was you mentioned that I had a bunch of public methods that ought to be private or protected, and I didn't see it, to be honest. Like for example, my scene manager has that critique, and I feel like I did it correctly, and now I'm second guessing myself because I feel like I'm missing something, but I felt like this should all be private. Um, and then all of my actual like work that's doing stuff, setting default scene, setting current scene, the actual pointers to the scenes, drawing, updating, that's all private. And then my public, I have accessors. So I had like all these managers where I felt like I had already like separated it out and made sure like everything is properly like hid away that should be. Apparently I didn't do it right, so, but I can't find it. But I lost a lot of points like throughout every system, and then at the end overall for code practices for that. So I feel like I'm missing something big. Um, but I'll email you if you don't mention it in the grading feedback. But that's pretty much it. My game is still mostly the same. I have my tank that I have imported. My bullets, losing health when you get hit by the bullets. You can restart the scene. Oops, that's my breakpoint. You restart the scene. collisions working still after I like reworked all the destructors and stuff. So that's pretty much it for my engine work. Now to talk about the game. Where'd it go? Oh, nope. Oh, so my battle tank game. So I just made a to-do for my upcoming sprint, for my next sprint, and then long term, which is just general stuff. As you can see, I'm more specific with my upcoming sprint stuff, where I get into the actual like code or specifically what I need to do to implement certain things. Same thing for my next sprint. I'm kinda more specific, but not really. And then my long term are just things I want to implement, but don't have immediate time or tools to do, like sound effects and score system. So if you want to see my research, this is a book I was looking at for getting started with audio. So it's audio programming, and it's specifically using Fmod, which is what I landed on after looking through a couple threads and saw it was popular and people said it was pretty versatile, and also it's pretty well like documented in terms of like other people using it. So I'm hoping if I do run into issues, there will be like some communities I can use if I need help figuring certain things out with Fmod. So this is the book that I was thinking of using. And it's in C++, and they're also using Fmod. And my idea was basically just sound in my game. This is Unity. Obviously, I'm not talking about the UI, but the idea of having an audio mixer and having all these channels where you can add sounds to, for that the user has access to. That was my idea for how in depth I wanted to go with it instead of just playing sounds. So my idea is I'm gonna need an audio manager. So this is my like crappy UML diagram. I'm gonna need an audio manager, and it'll have a map so that you can name things, and then it can take in a raw audio object, and then we have the private and public load, get, and unload. So my idea was raw audio object for basically like getting the raw like information, since I don't know exactly how it works with this, just my shaky idea, getting the raw information like and using Fmod to actually get that, and then from that raw audio object I'd be able to create a user level sound object, and then that will have like specific functions and data that the user would want to know about, like the volume, pitch, and gain. So then they create these sound objects through the audio mixer, which is audio manager. My bad. Audio manager is singleton, obviously, just like my other asset managers. Audio mixer would also be singleton, since you would really only want one. So the idea is you have these channels, and there's also sounds, so it would keep track of a list of sounds that the user has created, and the audio mixer also contains these channels, so you could create your own audio channels beyond the master one, and then you could set individual attributes for those channels, and then when you create sounds you would say which channel you want to put it into. And then you could like change the sound channel, play sound, stop sound, loop, play sound. So that was basically my idea for how that would work, and I really want it to be like streamlined, like audio mixer. Like the way it would work is the channels. So the sound object has its own like attributes, the base attributes, and depending on what channel it is, you can further augment it universally with like multipliers, is basically my idea. At least for like basic change. But yeah, that's pretty much it.